Interested in vintage family recipes? Green cake is a McDonald family tradition, from weddings to birthdays to backyard barbecues. I'm Marcy McDonald from Pacific Northwest Suburban Homesteading. Today, I'm introducing my mother-in-law, Twila, who will make this lovely treat with Scot, the homestead spouse.
Today, we are going to be making a family recipe. This goes back to something my grandma made up years and years and years ago when we had cattle. We had a lot of cream, a lot of milk, and we had some eggs, but not a whole lot else. We wanted to make some cake and have some fun, enjoyable, tasty treats. And this is something she came up with to use some of that excess milk and cream. And then over the years, my mom has modified the recipe a couple of times. So what we're gonna be making right now is Mom's version of Grandma's recipe.
I've been making it since I was 12, but Mother's version is different, we found out, since we found the cookbook. And so we're going to try both of them and see how it works out.
We're gonna make yours first though, so.
Yes, we're going to make this one first. We'll make a modification to Mother's to make it for the low altitude, because she lived at 7,000 feet, not sea level.
700 feet, yeah.
Now, the first thing we have to have for this is 2 eggs. And I always break my eggs into a bowl because you never know what's on the inside. Most of the time they're clean and you don't have to worry too much about it. But I just grew up on a farm where they were not always that way.
Here, I'll take this.
And then you mix the eggs before you do anything else. I'll tip this so you can see. You blend the eggs up so that you have the mix done. Also, you need 1 cup of granulated sugar. And you don't have to mix this very long, it's just where it's blended. Now, this is called a cream cake because that's what it is made. Its main ingredient is cream. And that means heavy whipping cream or it won't make. And I used 1.5 cups of cream. And you just blend that in with your eggs and your sugar. In this bowl, we have 1.5 cups of flour. We
did sift it.
We have that. Now I'm going to measure this by 1/2 cups because I don't remember how much I put in.
Would you like me to shake the sifter while you're measuring the?
No, you can stir it while
I can measure?
You can measure it while I stir.
Okay, that works.
I dropped it in. Figures. I need 1/2 teaspoon of salt in that flour. And I need 3 teaspoons baking powder. And you level that off. Each time you pull that out, you level it out. Now, this is the difference in, I measure it again. Because although you measured it and sifted it, once you've sifted it, it'll get lighter each time. And then just out of safety, I've been measuring this now. I don't measure, but for this recipe I have done so I remember how.
One of the things that's kind of interesting about the way she cooks, she knows how to do all of it. She doesn't measure any of it. She just does it by look and feel and eye. Translating those recipes into something we can write down and repeat can be kind of entertaining sometimes.
And Mother was that way. That's why we're experimenting to learn.
Grandma was worse.
Yes, Grandma was worse because They didn't measure anything.
The grandma version of this has all the liquid information and the baking powder information, but it just says flour. Doesn't say how much, it just says flour.
Now, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the rest of this because
Looks like it's about
it
right.
looks like it's about what it's gonna be. Sometimes when you sift it, it gets lighter, and so your cake will be lighter.
Would you like me to take over the stirring there since you've identified the batter as being the correct
Yep,
consistency?
it's about the right consistency. So now you can stir.
Here, trade places. That way we can
Yep.
the camera can watch me do
You
this.
stir, and I will do this.
No reason you couldn't use a mixer for this if you wanted to.
I do.
I just didn't break it out.
But that's why I've got him.
I'm a mixer. I make a good mixer. Another job that I had while I was a kid.
Yep. Irma's sunbeam had given out by that time.
The final ingredient here is two teaspoons of vanilla.
Pure vanilla. Do not use imitation vanilla.
Use the real stuff. It's worth it.
It just does not make good cake. And then I will get the pan.
Pan that I greased earlier.
That you buttered already.
I'm just going to take a chunk of butter and grease the bottom of the pan.
And ready
And the
to
sides. And the sides.
It's got to crawl up the sides.
Yep. Grandma always used to have me do this. I hadn't thought about that in years.
Yep. And we never did flour it. Now most people will flour so the cake comes out, but we've never taken the cake out. So
Nope.
I don't bother with that.
There we go. There's a nice little layer of butter across the bottom of the cake pan.
And it adds to the flavor of the cake too.
Yep. And there we go. And that looks like it's about ready to get poured into the pan.
And that's all you do. I eat more cake this way than I did sliced cake because I got like the beaters. Now you have to scrape all that out.
Here, you got better hands than I do for this part. I'll hold the bowl. You scrape.
I got just a little too thick.
Yeah, it's about right.
It's, but I modified it, I think, because below altitude. And maybe I didn't remember it right when I left home.
Yeah, the end result is we love your cakes. On the next round of this,
Of what the difference is.
Yep.
We have to watch the amount of baking
Baking
powder that goes in. Okay, I got it.
no, we can get a little bit more
You
of
can
that.
do that. I can't let it stand upside down and scrape the bowl.
Yep. There we go.
Now let me take your spatula.
This is the part you're much better at than I am.
Well, you even it out so it bakes evenly is all. Just straighten it out. And that's all there is to it.
And into the oven it goes.
And that's it.
Into a 350-degree oven. Okay, we're gonna check this out real quick, see if it's done yet. Doesn't look quite done yet, but we're getting close. I'm gonna stab this with a toothpick. And pull it back out. Yeah, it's getting close.
Look at your toothpick.
That's getting, I mean, it's clean.
Yeah, it's.
Just brown it up just a little bit more on top and then we'll call it good.
Yeah.
All right. That's looking done.
You can also tell that it's done by the way it's pulled away from the pan all the way around. Mom made this cake at least once a week all my life.
You pretty much, because Grandpa had to have it every single week.
Yeah, he did.
If he didn't have his cake, he couldn't eat dinner.
I knew she'd experimented a lot. My mother never wrote exact
How much
amounts
flour?
down because she would. I remember as a girl watching the cake batter rise up on the bigger, and if it rose up high, just at this right point, then I could shut it down and it was done. But if you didn't let it crawl up, you didn't get enough flour in it. That's what what became what my recipe is because that's what I remember doing.
Yep. What's different is the proportions of the ingredients.
Because of the difference in altitude.
Well, not only that, but I think your recipe has morphed over time. And
yes, my recipe has changed over time as well.
Yep.
To what my family preferred. This one's morphed over time for Mother because we found the original recipe she started with.
Yeah.
So, but the same ingredients, is just that their portions have changed.
So we're starting off with 2 eggs.
Again, and then once again, we break them into a bowl.
Pour the eggs in there and I'll beat the crap out of them.
You just do the beating. You know what the cake looks like this time, so go for it. All right, here we go.
2 eggs well beaten.
They're well beaten, and you can do that with a fork or anything else.
Yeah, I like
You
doing it
just
with a fork. Now we got
full cup of sugar because of the altitude. And you want to mix that well.
There we go.
Now we want to do, her recipe called for how much sugar? Or how
1
much?
2/3 cups of cream. So more
1
cream than
2/3.
what you
Yeah.
used.
So. There. Make sure of that, because I wasn't level.
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Team cooking. That's what this is all about.
Well, in our household, that was always the way it was. I don't think I cooked in the kitchen a whole lot without one of you kids underfoot.
True.
And mostly you.
Yep. After the cream goes in, now we
sift the flour. Now, I put it in a little bit at a time. You can.
But we also need to put in the baking flour and the salt.
Now, she, on her altitude, she uses a full. No, she doesn't say anything. She gives the salt.
No, she says, oh yeah, she's throwing just a pinch.
Salt.
Just a pinch of salt. And
Holy
then,
mother, it was the salt. And then 2 teaspoons. I've got the teaspoon in my hand.
yeah, but I was getting another stirring device.
Now, in this, because of the altitude, we're going to add 3.
Yeah, the original recipe calls for 2, but that's at 7,000 feet.
There you go.
Mix that a little bit.
Yes, mix them up. And then just put in a little bit of some measurements. Do you want me to help, or do you want
I
to
think I can.
just? Do you have to do that?
I think I can do
Do
that.
that at the same time. Just add a little bit at a time
Yep.
and mix it up. And as we found out, she's modified her own recipe several times. And then I modified it because I moved to lower altitudes. I found out that it didn't work as good in this altitude as it did at home.
You got the first couple you made when we first moved down here
Pancakes.
were quite dense.
Yes.
Quite dense.
Yes.
There we
Now
go.
this is where you'll check and see if you actually added enough flour.
I think we got enough.
I think so.
Oh yeah, I think actually we
And now we need to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
here's the vanilla,
And
and here is the teaspoon device.
And this is because of the altitude as well.
Well, that and I like vanilla more than Grandma did. She liked vanilla, but not as much as I do.
Grandma liked vanilla, but it was expensive. And Grandma made this cake at least once a week all my life. So
And Grandpa,
Grandpa had a sweet tooth.
the day was not done until he ate a piece of cream cake.
Nope.
Or cream cookies. Or both.
Dad had a sweet tooth, so it was a given. Now hers is got more flour in it. You can feel the difference, can you?
Yeah, a little bit, but she's also got more liquid in it. So it's
Yeah. But
there's
still,
more volume of overall product, but it's a little stiffer, yeah.
yeah, it's a little stiffer, I can tell that. I'll get your pen.
So we're gonna put this into yet another buttered pan. It's a good thing we have quite a few of these
Yeah.
baking dishes running around.
Yeah.
And that looks about right to me.
Yeah. And on this one, she doesn't mark what she baked it at.
So we'll just assume it's similar to what we did to the last
I
one.
think so, because of the altitude difference. It'll be about the same, maybe a little longer because you've got more volume here.
That's possible. So we'll start at about the same as we did the last one. So
And then check it. Yeah, because you have to check. You can tell when they're done.
Yep.
You've got a toothpick.
350 for 25 to 30 minutes to start.
Well, the only difference is the volume.
Yeah, the proportions are what's different between the two recipes. It does look a little thicker, but not a whole lot thicker. It doesn't look as thick as some of the ones you made when we first came down here. Okay, so into the oven.
Okay.
And now we wait for about 30 minutes to check it. So we're gonna check it. And I think it's about ready to come out. Because it looks like it's about ready to come out. Pulled away from the sides nicely. Stab it with a toothpick. And it comes out nice and clean.
Ultimately, there was not much difference in the finished cakes. We had friends over, and the taste test revealed that both cakes were tasty and really indistinguishable from one another. Mom's was slightly more dense and a little flatter after cooling, but in a blind taste test, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. I'm not entirely certain that they adapted the recipes quite according to the chart, and I accidentally used a chart with the distance above sea level in kilometers rather than feet, but experimenting is half the fun in the kitchen. We still had cake in the end. If you decide to try either recipe, feel free to eat them as Scott's family usually does, plain, or make an icing of your choice. I personally like cream cheese frosting. I've included the links to the recipes, including a correctly adjusted recipe for Scott's grandma's recipe, and the conversion charts for anyone who is interested who needs to adjust for high altitude baking. Thanks for watching our kitchen experiment and fun with a vintage recipe. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, be curious, keep an open mind, and never stop learning.